There's only 4 words. This one's for John.
This one's for Pat.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of NFL with Kyle. Today we are going to be previewing the Broncos Seahawks game, but not alone. And I couldn't do it with another Broncos fan, of course. I needed a Seahawks fan to keep me honest. What is up? Welcome, Joe.
Hey, how's it going?
No, whoa, we can't have this. Hold on.
Oh,
There we go.
yeah.
What's
How
up,
you doing?
man?
Oh, just getting ready for Sunday. And this got a busy weekend with the Huskies. So I have season tickets for the Seahawks and the Huskies. So we have a home game Saturday and Sunday. So it's gonna be super busy this weekend.
Are you so you're a big college guy too?
Not as much as NFL, but I guess you could. I have season tickets for the Huskies, so a little bit, yeah.
Dude, I didn't know you're going to throw in a fat lipper.
That's just.
I'm getting jealous. Let me grab my tin. All right, now we're talking about football. Throw a Dan Campbell in, if you will.
Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't even notice. I'm kind of I kind of keep that under wraps, but if you're cool with it, I am too.
Yeah, dude. Everything goes here. So, of course, there's some history between us. Do you want to just get that out of the way? Super Bowl.
I think the history between us, for one, the Super Bowl. Well, let's go back to the Seahawks' second year because the first year we were in the NFC West. In 76, we were in the NFC West. 77, we went to the AFC West. That will link us together forever. I mean, I grew up, my dad hated the Broncos and the Raiders. And like me growing up, I was born in 1997, right? So really 2002, I was 5 years old when we moved back to the NFC West. So I didn't really get it that much. You know, I'm like, why do you hate the Broncos and the Raiders so much? But yeah, I guess I'd say the Super Bowl is a big thing. You guys hate it because of that. We hate you because of the Russ trade at first. Well, we were all just rooting against Russ, let's be honest. But then you guys hate us now because of the Russ trade. Don't make trades with us.
Yeah. Why did you guys want Russ to fail in Denver?
Draft pick. I mean, we got a top 5 first round pick for him. And personally, why I rooted for him the year after the draft picks were over, you're asking? Because I don't like people that force their way out of town. I really don't. I think that's the biggest thing. Is saying, well, I don't want to be traded. But here's where I would be fine being traded to, right?
Yeah.
And that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Go ahead.
I think in a way it's like, okay, if somebody gives you 10 good years and brings you to multiple Super Bowls, not that Russ did it, but he was the quarterback of the team that did it.
He was awesome.
And yeah, and it's like, okay, well, he's going to move on. Like, there's a part of me that's like, okay, wouldn't you just be like, hey, thanks for at least like giving us 10 good years. But then you get into the second part, and that's his personality.
So
and the way he handled it on, like Denver fans had no idea. Can I just say, like, we had no idea who Russell Wilson was. at all.
A lot of the country didn't.
It was not, and I'm not even talking about play style. I'm talking about his personality was like very shocking. Like I thought, what's there not to like? And then I saw it and I was like, wow, how can this person come off so inauthentic, but somehow like believe his own lies?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one that's going to say this. I'm sure if any other Seahawks fan watches, up until Sierra, he was pretty normal. When Sierra started coming around, that's when it became less of a team thing and it became more of a me thing, where he's the center of attention of everything, right? I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I think him requesting a trade rubbed especially me the wrong way, because you've been around here. If the city of Seattle isn't good enough for you, like, where is? We have the softest media. Well, not the softest. I'd argue maybe like somewhere in Florida where you don't actually care about the team. But when it comes to sports media, you're not hammered by anybody. You're kind of tucked off in the middle of nowhere. But he wanted like MVPs and personal success, when I think we just wanted team success again. And that's what really irritated everybody with Russ. He's like, I want to win an MVP. Well, how about let's win another Super Bowl? That's kind of more important to everybody else. So,
yeah, I have actually heard that before. But Russ comes to Denver, and we all thought we were a quarterback away, and it was like, there's no way that you add a quarterback like Russell Wilson to the team and it doesn't work out. Like minimum, we're going to be a fringe playoff team. And I feel like even Seahawks fans that wanted Russ to fail could have never predicted what happened the last 2 years. If
so
we're being honest.
Want to know the truth? When he left, what I predicted, I didn't predict him to play like his last year in Seattle, because he played like a bum his last year in Seattle, which was 2021. 2022, I was like, they'll win 10 games, first round exit in the playoffs, because that's what Russ has done for the Seahawks since the Legion of Boom have left, right? Since they departed. It's been 10 wins, first round exit in the playoffs. And I thought that's what was going to happen. I think Pete Carroll protected him a lot, right? Like he wanted to be the next Patrick Mahomes, even though he's older than Patrick Mahomes. He wanted to be a guy like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, where the whole team revolved around him. But Pete was like, we got to focus on the run game, right? And off the play action. And that's what Russ totally succeeded in. And it didn't help he lost a step with his speed, right? So when he used to be able to pirouette out of sacks, he's not able to anymore. Yeah, I think another thing is he complained about the offensive line the last year he was here. He got sacked the most in the NFL, even when he was with the Broncos. And like you guys saw, it wasn't the offensive. Obviously, some sacks are the offensive line's fault, but he held the ball longer than any quarterback in the NFL the last 2 seasons, because he thinks he can get out of the pocket, but he can't.
Yeah, he definitely took a lot of unnecessary sacks last year. And then Sean Payton, I mean, could he fix Russ? Well, like, he was the worst quarterback in the league his first year with us, and Sean got him to like 15, 16. So, like,
but
sure.
You saw too. I'm not gonna lie, I root so hard against Russell Wilson, just because, like I said, just my biggest thing isn't even the drama and the personality. My biggest thing is turning your back on the city that brought you in as a rookie, right? And totally embraced a 5'11" quarterback, a coach that totally embraced a 5'11" quarterback, 5'10" and 5'8", might I add, not quite 5'11". Right, a whole city that embraced you, and then for you to just be like, I want out of here, I think that was a big slap in the face to the city.
Why do you think he wanted out?
Like I just said, he wanted to be the focal point of the offense.
I just don't understand like what he thought he was in Seattle, because we all thought he was the most important player on your team for a decade.
He was in the fourth quarter. So go back and watch. You're not going to. But go back and watch the tape, he was always average. I'm not going to lie. He was probably the most clutch player in Seahawks history. When it came to the game with 2 minutes left on the clock, you need a touchdown, he's going to drive you down and score a touchdown, right? But it's just, he's not the same. He lost a step. It's hard to explain. You really felt like I said, as a fan, you felt like he really turned on the city. And that was the biggest reason we booed the shit out of him when he came back, right? And I think that got into his head.
Did you go to that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there too.
You guys know his personality, right? You guys know he wants to be liked by everybody, anybody and everybody that he can try to impress, right? He wants to be loved by everybody. And I think for the whole stadium to boo him, I think that really got into his head the first part of that game.
Yeah, and now, of course, Bo Nix is our quarterback, and you don't have Pete Carroll anymore. What did you think of the firing of Pete Carroll? Because I think, at least from a national standpoint, I think we were all pretty surprised.
We were surprised too. And it was one of those things where Seahawks fans, me personally, it was kind of 50-50. A lot of people wanted him gone because he was running the team like it was still 2014 instead of 2024. Right? He wants to play cover 3 defense and trust in his personnel, but you're never going to have a Earl Thomas back there again. You're never going to have a Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman. I mean, that's a once in a lifetime secondary, right? So he was still playing like that. And then he wasn't letting the offensive coordinator really do his job and be creative at all. He wanted a hard-nosed, run-down-your-throat football team. But that's not who we were, right, with the offensive line we had. It was sad. It was very sad because you have this guy in your life. A lot of Seahawks fans, there's been a lot of bandwagon fans since we went to the first Super Bowl, right? The second Super Bowl, since we won our Super Bowl. They haven't seen the Seahawks without Pete Carroll, right? And they don't realize that how good we had it with him. I think a lot of other NFL franchises see like, oh, they had a coach for, what was it, 2010 through 2023, 14 seasons, right? And be successful, be a playoff team almost every year. But I think we hired a great guy. It was more emotional when Pete left, but I think it needed to happen.
Yeah. You saw that kind of with a couple teams this year, like Bill Belichick.
For sure. Imagine those guys. They haven't seen a head coach since 2000, right?
Right. Even Mike Vrabel was a little surprising.
That was
yeah. So, all right. So we saw the Ravens play last night. Their defense definitely looks like they may be missing a key person, a coordinator that is now your head coach. What are your thoughts on him? And then we can kind of start talking about the game a little bit, because I'm hearing a lot about how he's going to be so good against a rookie quarterback, and Bo Nix going into Seattle is just going to be a really, really like tough job. And
go ahead.
And we're for Bronco fans, we're feeling really good about Bo Nix right now. So it's like on one hand, it's like, okay, Bo Nix has looked really great, but there's also like Seattle is one of the toughest stadiums to play in. It's going to be really loud. But personally, like, I think Bo Nix is the kind of guy that can go into that type of an environment and remain poised. And I don't feel that way about a lot of quarterbacks, but the experience he has, like his first start in college, he was a true freshman and he was playing for Auburn, and he had to go and take on Alabama, and he led them to a victory. Like, he's just a coach's son.
I thought it was against Oregon.
Oh, Oregon.
Yeah.
No, and it was against Justin Herbert at Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, a really good quarterback too on the other side. And for him to, win that game, you have these moments throughout your career where we learn a lot about a player when he's in a certain circumstance where it's like, okay, well, maybe Bo Nix is just a gamer. So maybe he's one of those guys that can handle this type of environment. But Mike Macdonald is apparently just a really, really good coach when it comes to playing rookies. And the last rookie quarterback to, I think, win their rookie debut on the road was like
Derek Carr.
I think it was Sam Darnold.
Oh, it was. And the one before him was David Carr in 2002. Yeah. Like, it's been an insane.
Right. It doesn't happen.
One thing I'll say that might make you guys feel a little bit better is Mike Macdonald's defense is complicated, right? They say he's the Kyle Shanahan of defense. So he's going to try to confuse the shit out of you, right? So, I mean, like, obvious. Simple terms, right? It's going to be cover 3. He shows cover 2. One of the defensive ends going to drop back in coverage while a defensive back goes. Shit like that, right? Disguising blitzes, disguising coverage,
right?
Which is one thing, especially against a rookie quarterback. That was awesome. But the first half of the season for the Ravens, the past 2 seasons, they've been middle of the pack. But the second half of both seasons, so once the defense finally got installed and everybody knew what they're supposed to do, they've been first in the NFL in yards and first in the NFL in points allowed the second half of the season, right? So I'd feel a little bit more confident about that, especially none of these guys have played under him before, with the exception of we just signed a guy on the practice squad, a linebacker. But, I mean, really none of these guys have. And one guy from Michigan. But not anything crazy is what I'm trying to say. Speaking of that, but really I think one of the biggest factors will be the crowd noise with Bo Nix. He's not used to the headset. He's used to hand signals, for one. But the headset, I mean, sometimes you've been there before. You can't really hear yourself think sometimes. And the I don't know, was that Broncos game the first game you've been to at the Seahawks stadium or?
Yeah, and of course it was probably as loud as it, can get.
See, it's that one. See, it's weird because, like
For
I said,
Russell Wilson's return, like, I mean, the crowd I was around people that I know couldn't scream any louder for a fact.
Yeah, that wasn't. See, that's the thing is, I don't think that's the loudest we were in the past 2 years. I really do.
At a certain point, it's just noise. Like, you get to a certain decibel where, like you said, you can't hear yourself think, and it's like, okay, well, what's 5 more decibels at that point? Like, I mean,
yeah, but if there is one rookie quarterback that scares me the most in an environment staying calm and collective, it's him, because us as Seattleites have seen him 3 times in the last 2 years. Granted, we won those games, but it's only been by a field goal every time, right? So we got the offensive coordinator from Washington. Ryan Grubb, we got the O-line coach from Washington who won the Joe Moore Award last year as the best offensive line in college football. That's another thing the Broncos should be positively or negatively. Washington was probably the best offense in college football the last 2 years, but he's never coached in the NFL before, right? So as a Broncos fan, you're thinking he did really good in college, but what's he going to do in the NFL? It's kind of an unknown, right? So I think that can be a double-edged sword for both of our teams.
Yeah, I mean, some of the reasons I feel so confident is just him playing in multiple systems. And then I was talking about this today in the YouTube comments where you get in arguments with people you don't know, but somebody was like, somebody made a comment about how Bo Nix being drafted to Sean Payton is puts him in the best position to succeed versus, Jaden Daniels with Dan Quinn. I know that, he's got the head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, as the offensive coordinator, but still there is a track record where if you have an offensive coach with a young quarterback, it jives a lot better than Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett's, Mitch Trubisky's, Justin Fields, like Drew Lock, these guys that just can't figure it out. And then all of a sudden it's like Brock Purdy works with Kyle Shanahan. And it's like, whoa, what happened? Why Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? Or it's like Sean Payton is going to put Bo Nix in a position to succeed. Like, it's still on Bo Nix to go out there and do it. But I feel like Sean is like, okay, what is Bo Nix great at? Let's do that in this game.
No,
and
100%.
A lot of that's just going to be timing. getting the ball out of his hands really quick, establishing the run game. Jaleel McLaughlin, I think, is going to be somebody that plays a bigger role than people expect. And I mean, you looked at the timing in the preseason and it looked really good. And people say, well, it's just preseason. It still matters because.
Yeah, for sure. What else? Sorry to cut you off, but Seahawks fans say the same shit. And it's like, what else do we have to judge these guys off of? They're rookies, right?
Right. And if let's say Brock Purdy, who played in the preseason and didn't look great this year, people were worried about it. So when a good quarterback plays terrible in the preseason matters. When a young quarterback plays great, it doesn't. The truth is that it does matter what a player looks like. So if you're watching a game and the decision making is there, that translates. If the timing is there, that translates. If accuracy is there, it translates. I'm not saying that the players won't be faster, the separation won't be as, broad if you have ones going against threes, but I am saying there's clearly things that are going to translate. And I think Bronco fans actually have a lot of confidence that they can go and win this game, even though I think they have the third worst odds to win the game. It started at -6.5, got bet down to -6, and I just checked it. It's at -5.5. So I don't
only
know.
saw it at -5.5.
So I use FanDuel and it opened up. So I locked in that bet. And that line came out, I think, like maybe a month ago at this point.
Did you? Oh, okay, good. Because I saw -5.5 like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So it
you
seems
locked in
like
did you lock in the money line or the spread?
money line.
Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I got a good feeling about the Hawks.
There's a lot about Denver that I like this year. Like I put a significant bet in for the 5.5 because this team won 8 games last year with Russell Wilson. I think they're going to be improved. There was just so much that Russ couldn't do. I mean, he was a shell of himself. Like this team improved, and that's a matter of fact. But the NFL media, it's like if they don't know the players' names yet, then they just say, what has Denver done? It's amazing. Like you don't have true insight from national media. They kind of just reinforce.
You fucking don't.
Yeah,
unless you play in New York, anywhere on the East Coast. I mean, the big ones like San Francisco, Dallas, Green Bay. Something that has like a large United States fan base. Trust me, I'm from Seattle. I completely know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's like it seems like it's not going to be until like some games kind of kick off that people say, oh, maybe we were wrong about Denver. And I think in this case, a lot of teams are wrong about Denver this year. I really do feel that way. And Bronco fans, like last year, it kind of felt like we were almost faking excitement because we had Sean Payton. And that's pretty exciting. You bring in Sean Payton, it's like maybe he can fix Russ. But the year before that, you brought in Russell Wilson. So there's been like a minor level of excitement the last 2 years. But this one feels like much more authentic, where I'm almost enjoying that Denver is the team that's supposed to suck because it puts us in a really good position it's all uphill from here is the way I look at it.
And that's crazy because that's the same. They did the NFL.com did their power rankings and the Seahawks were number 22. And just as the Broncos, it's like, well, with the Seahawks, I think it's a little different. I mean, look up and down the Seahawks roster, and it is vastly better than 3/4 of the NFL. Just up and down, as far as skill position, defensive line. I'm not going to talk about the offensive line, but we're just missing that juice the last couple of years, and Mike McDonald's brought that. Some people say he's like hyper-focused like a serial killer, basically, which is what you should be as a defensive coordinator, right? And he's got these guys. If you watch the preseason a little bit, these guys are not afraid to thump, and these guys aren't afraid to go for the ball, which has been missing from the Seahawks the last couple of years. And the Seahawks defense is going to come out with a lot more energy than you've used to be seeing them the last few years.
Yeah, and I guess every team kind of goes as the quarterback goes, and Geno Smith wins comeback player of the year, and then last year it felt like, okay, like they're going to roll with Geno Smith because he won comeback player of the year, and he earned the right to be the quarterback last year because of how he performed. But it makes you scratch your head this year because it's not like, okay, like what is the ceiling with like nobody believes Geno Smith can win a Super Bowl. Seahawk fans don't believe that. And if you're not like competing for a Super Bowl, even like the Bears, if they go 1-15, I'd rather have at least a team that I believe that can win the Super Bowl than being in purgatory with somebody that I know will get me in as a wild card and then we'll have to pack our bags.
See, I think this is another thing. Like, I think national-wide, have you seen Geno like on his game before? Because when he's on, he is on, and he's not the Geno Smith of the New York Jets. I think Pro Football Focus last year, not the year before when he completed 70% of his passes, last year when he had everybody's like, you know what? Should we really go ahead with Geno Smith? Pro Football Focus had him as like 15th in the NFL. Well, when he's making $15 million a year, and I'm not putting him in the top 10, I'm putting Geno Smith and Kirk Cousins right next to each other. Those are the two. I think he's most comparable to Kirk Cousins. He's not going to lose you a bunch of games, and he's not going to win you a bunch of games, right? He's going to be a game manager, which is what I think a team with a competent defense needs and a good running game. Could he win the Super Bowl? Not on his back, but if we have a killer defense and a great run game, I don't think. I mean, who thought Brock Purdy could win a Super Bowl 2 years ago, right?
Fair. Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I'm not trying to like be like, oh no, screw you, everything you say, but I do really.
No, but I mean, I'm not covering. I'm not a Seahawks fan. Like, to step into your shoes, it's like, so you guys do believe, like, if everything goes right, that you guys could win the Super Bowl?
I don't think so this year, and that's not because of Geno. I think that's because of the first-year coaches that we have on our roster. We gave I did a show 2 nights ago with another Seahawks fan, Zach. Basically, we gave our floor and our ceiling. I think our floor is 7 wins, and that's if everything just goes to shit, right? If nothing,
that's pretty high floor.
Well, the Seahawks should have beat Dallas last year, right? That would have been 10 wins. And we didn't punt a ball. We didn't punt the ball a single time that game because the defense couldn't stop anything on either side. When you don't punt a ball a single time, there's no way you should lose that game, right? Went for it on 4th once and didn't get it. So that'd be 10 wins. That would easily put us into the playoffs.
Yeah, and they didn't it come down to your last game you lost, and that's what put the Packers in?
No, the Packers won, so they basically, if we won and the Packers lost, we would have got in.
Oh, that's what it was
2 years ago. And then the Steelers game last year, our defense didn't show up. Pete Carroll got fired because of our defense, because Pete's a defensive guy, right? When you're not playing defense, you got a defensive head coach. When you're 31st in the league against the run, 2 years in a row. What?
It's like, what do you do here? You know?
Exactly. So, I mean, think about it. If they would have handled the Steelers like they should have, if somebody learned how to tackle, right, and they would have beat the Cowboys, they'd have been 11 wins. Pete Carroll's not gone after 11 wins. We'd have been in the playoffs. I think the ceiling this year is making the NFC Championship, because I think the 49ers are going to fall off this year. I really do. I think they're going to take a step back. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't even know if they're going to win the division. I'm not saying that we're going to win the division. I think us and the Rams have as good of a chance as the 49ers this year.
Yeah, I had a similar thing where I thought the 49ers would struggle this year more than they have in the last 3 years. But I have the Rams winning the division.
That wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, I just think the 49ers are going to take a massive step back because I think, for one, there's too much off-season drama. For two, everybody's getting older. They have the oldest roster in the NFL now that Trent Williams is back, right? Trent Williams is awesome. He's a Hall of Famer, but he's going to be 37 at some point this season, right? I mean, Father Time is kind of undefeated.
And he's probably not in playing shape, right? I don't know, like, if he's in playing shape. I mean,
no, and that's what you can't be in NFL shape unless you're going against NFL talent. Let's be honest. It doesn't matter what professional you are. You know, you could be Lawrence Taylor and you're not in NFL shape until you go against NFL players.
So do you think this is going to be a close game?
Yeah, I do. I think the Hawks are going to pull it out, though. I really do, especially the way they're going to use DK. If there's one player you guys need to keep your eye on, it's DK Metcalf. And it's not because I know you're going to say, oh, we have Patrick Surtain, right? And he's going to hold him down. They're going to move him around the field a lot with Ryan Grubb. Did you watch the Huskies much last year?
No.
Okay. So they're going to kind of use DK like they used Rome Odunze. And they're going to put him in the slot. They're going to put him outside. They're going to put him in the backfield sometimes and take handoffs. I mean, he is the best athlete on the field, and you can't deny that. I mean, legit, I don't know a better athlete in the NFL than DK Metcalf. Not saying he's the best receiver because he's not the best route runner. He doesn't have the best hands, but as far as if you're a cornerback or even a linebacker and you see that man just coming at you full speed, you're like, oh shit, I don't know if I want this, right? Everybody's seen DK. So I think they're going to get the ball to DK a lot in creative ways. And that's what all the Seahawks fans have been calling for the last 5 years.
So, I mean, Surtain is going to be on him the whole game, though.
Yeah, but then what are you going to do with JSN? Because I think JSN is going to have a breakout year this year. I think K9 they're going to feed K9 the rock a lot. Hopefully Noah Fant can break out. I would love to see that.
Dude, I believed in Noah Fant. He's so bad in one game.
He has flashes, though, in the receiving game. He has total flashes. You're like, wow, where'd that come from? You know, like all of a sudden he'll just catch a ball 5 yards down the field and turn it up 60 more yards. You're like, holy shit, where was that all year?
So the first half only, what do you see the score being around?
The first half?
Yeah.
14-10. Regardless, either way, I see it being close.
So you got 14-10 Seahawks?
It doesn't matter, but sure. Let's just say the Seahawks.
Okay, and then what's the points for this game?
I don't know. I think it's 42. It is 42.
So do you think it's going to be like somewhere around there, like a 24-21, something like that?
Yeah, that would make total sense. I mean, not that I have no doubt. I believe that I'm not betting this game. If you think the Broncos are going to win, bet the Broncos. If you think the Seahawks are going to win, bet the money. Do the money line on whoever you think's going to win. I think it's going to be close, is what I'm trying to say.
If Denver wins this game, do you feel like Seahawk fans are going to be like calm about it, or it's going to be like hats on fire?
It's a week one, so hats are going to be on fire, whether the Broncos lose or whether, you know how Twitter works, right? I think rational fans will understand. Here's what rational Seahawks fans want. They want the Seahawks to come out and play with passion like we used to. And I think that's what you're going to see. If we play like our hair's on fire, I don't think we're going to lose for one. Say we lose because we're being too aggressive, I'm fine with that, right? I want to lose because we're too aggressive rather than playing 10 yards off the receiver and letting him catch hitches all game, you know?
So, gosh, I don't know. I might be delusional. Do you know what the problem is we haven't won our home opener in, it's been a while. Like, we lost it last year. I was at it last year. And then I was at it the year before. And
did you guys win your home opener 2 years ago? Because you beat the Texans.
That was week 2.
Yeah, but you played us week 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or I mean opening game.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about
that. The week 1 game. Like, we keep starting 0-1. And there's just like an emphasis because last year we were 1-5. And by Christmas, there was still a scenario for us to get in the playoffs because we went on a 5-game winning streak.
Which is awesome. It's fun. I'd rather finish strong than start strong. That's another thing with the Seahawks. I said this year, I just want to finish strong and have a bright future rather than a doom and gloom. Like, how did we start 5-2 and miss the playoffs like we did last year?
I just don't see how the Seahawks can. Is it just a lot of young talent is going to come together, you think?
I mean, think about it. Yeah. Devin Witherspoon, Pro Bowler last year. Tariq Woolen, the other cornerback. God's jersey right here. Sorry, camera's mirrored. Or it's not mirrored.
I do that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Pro Bowler 2 years ago. He's really gonna. He looks like he's stepping. The only reason he wasn't last year is because he tackled like shit, and I think that was coaching. And I argued too because I was a huge Pete guy, and I'm like, it's not coaching. These players are just pussies, but it is coaching that makes them that way. And then Julian Love looking awesome. He signed an extension. He was a Pro Bowler last year. The back half of this defense is completely loaded, and I'll put them up with the Jets. I told everybody that. The Jets, the Dolphins, whatever you think the best secondary is in the NFL, Seahawks are neck and neck with them. The front line, now, I mean, you got Mafe coming off the edge, Derek Hall coming off the other edge. Depth isn't quite there at outside linebacker yet. The biggest thing I'd worry about as a Seahawks fan is the inside linebacker position. You have 2 guys that haven't started, right? In Jerome Baker, Tyrell Dodson, or Tyrese Knight, who's a rookie, who looks pretty promising. But you're used to Bobby Wagner, you're used to KJ Wright, you're used to Jordan Brooks. Hell, before that, you're used to Lofa Tatubu and Leroy Hill. We've been spoiled since like 2005. So that's one thing as Seahawks fans I pay attention to.
So the new kickoff rules, the league had a return rate of 70.5 in the preseason, which is up significantly from last year's 54.8. I said before yesterday's game that there's really not going to be any returns because the
I don't think so either.
The NFL should have put a touchback at the 35 if they really wanted to incentivize a return, because even with all the returns, the average starting field position was the 29-yard line. So it's like, okay, you're giving them an extra yard. What's the incentive for the kicking team to not boot it out of the back of the end zone? You know what I mean?
I think you thought you got me on this one. Like, I was going to disagree with you. No. How do you feel?
Oh, no. I'm just wondering, do you feel like the new kickoff rules are going to, like, I feel like for Denver, we're going to kick out of the back of the end zone. What do you think for the Seahawks? How do you think that's going to go?
Why wouldn't we kick it out of the back of the end zone? Is my question. I mean, just like you're thinking right now. And how do you, before I say anything, how do you feel about the new kickoff?
In the beginning, I didn't like it, and I wanted people to stop messing with the rules. And then week 2 of the preseason, I saw a couple returns, and I found myself getting excited about it. And then week 3, see, change is really difficult. Like, even our new uniforms, like, I was so angry when they were released. This is all they needed to do.
So this is all the Seahawks need to do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pissed about that. Before we get off topic, we'll get back to that in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. But shit, I forgot what I was talking about because of the jersey. That's how the kickoff. That's how much I really hate these new uniforms. But change is hard. So I found myself kind of coming around, but I also know the reality of it is that the ball's going to be a touchback, I think 85-90% of the time anyway. So I don't know if it matters in the end, but we only have one game so far, but I feel like any like competent head coach is going to put it in the back of the end zone.
Can I tell you what pisses me off with this new kickoff?
Yes.
So since 2009, they've been trying to abolish the kickoff, right? They've been trying to make touchbacks a thing. Okay, so 2000, it was either 9 or 10. They moved the kickoff from the 30-yard line to the 35-yard line. And then they changed it a couple years ago to where if you kick the ball out of the back of the end zone, it comes out to the 25. So the return team didn't want to return it, right? And then they changed, okay, if you want to fair catch it anywhere, it just goes out to 25. Okay, sweet. And this year, right, the league's like, you know what? Now we want people to return kickoffs because it's a money thing. Let's be honest. They want people to have more excitement, right, and create the most money that they can. When they're like, oh, maybe next year we can make the touchback go out to the 35. And it's like, okay, you've been trying to abolish the kickoff and make the touchback a thing for the past 15 years. And then this year, as soon as people want to kick touchbacks, right, you're like, no, I can't. You guys can't do touchbacks anymore, even though we've been forcing you to do it for the past 15 years. It pisses me off. It really does.
It is confusing. It's like, what do you guys want? Are you, because I thought we were avoiding the kickoff because of the collision.
Well, at some point, dude, I'd even be fine with this. And I swear to God, I know it sounds dumb. Make the kickoff a ceremonial thing, right? Just have guys back there and kick it out the back of the end zone. That looks fine. I don't want to abolish it, but like, even if you want to abolish it, just do that. I mean, just to say that there's a kickoff. But like, I mean, that's basically what's been, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate the NFL because like when they see the opportunity to make more money, right, and get more excitement, they try it basically, and it's all revolved around the return team / offense is what they're trying to make better. It's never field position for the defense.
Yeah, and the NFL is all about the money, which is something that's unfortunate, especially when you see them putting games on Peacock and Paramount and fucking ESPN.
See, it doesn't bug me.
It bothers me because
wherever they market, whoever their target audience is, it's me. If I see something on Peacock that I like want to watch, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll subscribe. It's $10 a month. I'm their target audience. I suck. I'm not like everybody else.
I just like, I think it's fine if they want to put a game on a streaming, but to exclusively do it when people are already paying $500 a year for Sunday ticket, it's like, okay, like I spent half of $1,000 and you guys want my $10. It's principle. It's really not about money. It's about the fact that they're forgetting that they're a $1 billion industry, and the NFL could be like, you know what? We're going to throw our fans, the reason we're a $1 billion industry, a bone by not fucking them over. Like, it's not even a true bone. It's just not being a dick.
Yeah, that's another thing. So I wanted to kind of say, my grandma, right? I think she's watched every Seahawks game since probably 1976 when we got established. The Thursday night game, she's like, how do I find these? And I'm like, oh, it's on Prime Video. So she lives all the way on the east side. Somebody had to go set up for it. But like, here's my thing, especially if you're in a local market, say the game's on Peacock exclusively, like tonight. If you're in Wisconsin or Philadelphia, that should be on Channel 7 or 13, one of your Fox, CBS, NBC. I think especially in local markets, they should have that.
Yeah, that's really the issue, is that it's not. Yeah, so it's like, I mean, we could get all over that. So when I look at the NFC West, I think Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, and I think the Cardinals are going to be good too. I see this division as one of the toughest in the NFL this year. And I think Cardinals are a team that people are sleeping on. I like Kyler Murray.
I'm sleeping on them too.
You don't think they're going to have a good year?
Their coach is a fucking dork until he shows me that he's not an absolute dork.
I thought last year, under the circumstances, when they were losing, like they were playing really well. Like nobody was like, "Oh, we got the Cardinals on our list." Everyone knew it was a business trip, and they were going to play you really tough. I think it's really difficult, and that's what got Antonio Pierce the job in our division. Is like, it's one thing to know like we just don't have enough talent to really compete this year, but to maintain that level of competitiveness out of your locker room under those circumstances says a lot about the locker room. And that's like, okay, the foundation is here. And now you get a draft where you add 12 players to that draft, including Trey Benson, who I think is going to be really good, Marvin Harrison Jr., who is going to have a Patrick Surtain type of college to NFL.
I think Harrison's going to be awesome. I really do.
Yeah, they got a really McBride's gonna, I think, have a big year.
Oh, I think they're a good fantasy team. I see them as an 8-win football team. I do, and that's no disrespect. Like, do I think they're gonna suck? No, but do I see them pushing anything? Especially with the second halves that Kyler's had in his career, which they've been under Kingsbury, right? So who knows what he's gonna be in the second half. But he's been kind of shit in the second half of every season he's played.
So do you feel like Kyler Murray's a top 15 quarterback?
Let's see how he does this year. He barely played all last year. So.
Yeah. And I think he's won like over 70% of his games as a starter.
Yeah, but look at his percentage. And I don't know it at all, but if you were to look at his percentage weeks 1 through 8 versus 9 through 17, I think you'd see a huge drop off between that winning percentage.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't know.
Well, did you know that the game tonight is on Peacock?
Yeah. Yeah, and I also let me ask you one thing. I know we only got a couple minutes left. How do you feel about the NFL international games?
And I'm indifferent. When they first announced the Packers and Eagles going to open the season the way they said that, I was highly against it. I was like, no, this is an American sport. You don't kick off an American sport in another country. But then I found out, okay, no, Thursday is going to be the opener and it's here. I think they're fans around the world, so I think it's cool to give them an opportunity. But at the expense of the players, it kind of sucks. So I think there needs to be like mandatory bye weeks after if they do them, because you saw like last year, the year before, the Packers had to go to London and then they played the Jets without a bye week. And
there was somebody doing high knees on the plane the whole way there. And I think
my God.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
That's not even the worst part. The worst part is the uniforms. That was Russell Wilson's decision to wear the blue pants with the white top. Like to this day, dude, that was just such an embarrassing
They won that game
year.
though, right? The Broncos won.
Yeah,
barely.
We did. We're undefeated in those. But oh my God, I'm gonna have to pull it up. Broncos London uniform. This is oh my God, dude. This is embarrassing. That whole era, the Let's Ride, like our own PR team posted that on X. It's like, why would our team do that?
So I was sitting with my tickets at the game, right? When that guy missed a field goal, McManus. all the Broncos fans were leaving, and I do what I do every game, every big game, right, that we win. I just lean my hand over the tunnel, the walk-through tunnel. I go, Broncos country, let's ride. Giving everybody high fives because that was a big win for the city.
That was awful. I remember somebody was like in my face, like, Broncos suck or something. And I didn't say anything. I just kept walking.
I've never been an opposing fan in a different stadium. So I don't know.
Really?
I'm kind of selfish. I've never been an opposing.
I like it. Obviously, when you lose, it's kind of brutal. But
here's one thing I'll tell people is if you're an opposing, those look good. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god, dude, those are awful.
So one thing I'll tell you about if you happen to sit by me at a Seahawks game, which I'm there every game, every year, know you're going to get talked shit to, but also know it's all in fun and you can talk shit to me back. The worst people to sit by at a Seahawks game are opposing fans that buy their tickets on Ticketmaster, right? On some secondhand. I'm in my seats every game, right? Like, I'm not leaving. Okay, I'm going to be here throughout the season. If you can't just, poke a little fun back, you shouldn't be there at the game, right? You should be watching on your television. At least give me a high five. So say the Seahawks score, I'm going to try to give you a high five, right? Give me a high five. And when the Broncos score, you try to give me a high five back, and I'll do it because I'm a good sport. I'm not a dickhead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I honestly, I was sitting around a lot of really good people. Like when that last kick happened, I could tell the Seahawks fans were just enjoying how invested I was into the game. Like every big play, I wasn't, oh, in your face. Like I'm too into the game to give a shit about the people.
I give a shit when I'm there. When there's a Broncos fan right in front of me, or say any opposing team, I'm never a dick. I'm never like, you guys suck, get the fuck out of here, right? Like I'll never be that guy because that guy's not fun to be around. I want to be a guy that makes the experience more memorable and fun, right? So
yeah, and I'm going to Russell Wilson returning to Denver as a Pittsburgh Steeler. I'm going to be at that game. Yeah, I leave on Wednesday, and I'm hoping that we're 1-0. If not,
you guys gonna boo him? You guys called us classless for booing him. So that'd be
well, in all fairness, he didn't win any Super Bowls with us. What the Russell Wilson we got and the Russell Wilson you got are two totally different players. Legitimately two different humans. I'm not sure if it's even the same guy.
They're the same human. Trust me. We knew he was inauthentic.
It's like a robot that was programmed to play football that somehow lost its programming to play football, but was still a robot.
Bro, when he wore that freaking silver suit to the post game against the Seahawks, he thought he was gonna win with that big silver bow tie, right?
We're not gonna waver. We're not gonna waver. That's one thing about me. I'm happy. There's a lot of ups and a lot of downs.
I got Wolverine blood.
A lot of ups and a lot of downs, and one thing is me is I know who I am. I'm resilient.
Diversity, shit like that.
Buzzword.
Yeah. He probably uses synergy in a business meeting.
I just wanted him one time to be like, I'm pissed. We didn't play good.
That's not him. That's not him.
I know, and it's so frustrating because you got a whole fan base that's pissed, and then your quarterback comes up there and he's just like, I know who I am. I'm not going to waver from that. It's like, maybe you should. Things aren't going very well right now.
Well, it's like he never had those times in Seattle, right? Because we're always winning, except for the last season and 2017. Pete Carroll was very much happy-go-lucky, positive. Russell Wilson is Pete Carroll on crack. I'm fine.
Dude, I
Anyways,
used to like on a primetime game, the 49ers beat the Seahawks. I think they swept them last year.
yeah, they beat us 5 times the last 2 years. Just like our offensive coordinator and our offensive line coaches beat Bo Nix 3 times in the last 3 times in the last 2 years. I want to bring that up so bad. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not even a college person, so I mean, I could care
Oh,
less.
you're not?
No, like I cheer for Florida State, so it's already been a terrible year in that way. But
That's bad.
no, it's
Bad
like
for you.
Florida State, and then and honestly, it's like the Green Bay Packers, and then to the moon is the Broncos. Like those are the 3 organizations that I care about. I was actually at Brett Favre's last game as a Green Bay Packer. This game right here.
That was against the Giants.
Yep.
Yeah.
2007 NFC Championship game. It was
you guys beat us in the divisional game right before that. It was fucking awesome.
snowing.
Yeah, it was terrible. I went to Lambeau last year. That's the only other NFL stadium I went to. The Cheesehead right next to the 12.
Oh, nice. Oh, no, I was wearing it for my predictions.
It's fine. It's cool they got beer cups in them.
Yeah.
They got beer holders.
I must have ran out of here with it. But yeah, dude, Lambeau, I say if you love football, you have to go to Lambeau. Like everybody
bizarre.
should go to Lambeau.
It's just bizarre. So the one thing I was pretty disappointed in, loved the tailgating. It was like a college atmosphere, right? Like it almost felt like going into a Huskies game. Like there's just people being nice everywhere, giving each other beer.
I hate that about Seattle.
I got so many free beers, right? I was like, holy shit, dude. I was fucked up going into the game. And it was against the Lions, that game where the Lions won. But anyways, yes. The one thing I was disappointed, the crowd noise. It's just nothing like Seattle. I mean, like I said, that's the only NFL stadium I've been to. It was crazy because they're like, all right, guys, it's 3rd down. And then like some people would cheer, like yell, and I was like, wow, this is way different than.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I know Denver gets really loud. I've always known that. I remember when I was a kid, on 3rd down, they would have that screen, the jib camera, and it would be shaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Then when I got there, and I mean, like it gets really loud. I would say Seattle is definitely louder. And I actually enjoyed that. Like when I was there, and if I could push a button and silence the crowd, I wouldn't have done it because I felt like that was part of the atmosphere. That was part of the ambience of like being at a Seahawks game. And I actually really enjoyed it. Like it was almost like a high. Like,
it's like that every game, but people, sorry, I know you have to leave here, but people talk shit about Aikman and Buck so much. I rewatched that game. I took the next day off because it was a Monday night. The first thing I did in the morning was rewatch that game. And Aikman and Buck, the very first play that Russell Wilson came out, they didn't say a fucking word. And they just, the crowd, and I was like, man, that was so cool of them not to like talk over it. It kind of made you feel like back in the moment, like when it was happening, you're like, you know what, that was sweet.
They said before that, they said they were going to do that too.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
Yeah. They interviewed, about that game, and they're like, I feel like you just like that moment just needs to be captured. Like there's nothing. They
did it so good.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing though, I disliked with a passion, and why I'll never go to another Seahawks game is the tailgating situation. It was weird. Like I got there and I was
bars.
like, I was like rolling my window down and I was like, I'm looking for the big parking lot.
No.
They're like, no. And I'm like, okay, where do I park? And they're like, you got to find street parking. And I was just like, what kind of horse shit is this? Like, I mean, I go to a Broncos game and there's 10 acres of marching bands, cheerleaders, the mascot, buses. I mean, it is like the tailgate is a whole event. Like Green Bay, Jacksonville, Miami. I've never been to a stadium that's just like there. You just park on the side of you parallel park and you walk in. Like what the hell? Like it's missing. Like
do you know what? Do you know the reason they don't have that? Is because before they tore the Kingdome down, they built the Mariners Stadium right next to it. That used to be a giant parking lot where everybody used to tailgate, but we had to keep the Mariners from relocating to Tampa. So they built a stadium where the parking lot used to be.
I would have rather sent the Mariners to Tampa.
At this point right now, yeah. The game starts in 4 minutes, so I don't want to keep you late, but I do want to know your opinion on the uniforms before we leave.
They're growing on me. I didn't like them at first, and I like them from what I've seen. I love the 5280. I like that they're leaning into.
That's cool. I actually Googled that because when they unveiled it, I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, that's like, you know, you got to lean into it, what makes you different. So, I like it. I think the jersey tells a story. I like the altitude symbols on it. And I like a lot of aspects of it. There's a couple combos that I don't like. But overall, like I've already adjusted to them. So, but when they were first revealed, it's like, I just wanted the 1977 to come back.
You know what's crazy? So in 2012, when the NFL switched to Nike, the Seahawks unveiled theirs, and it was totally different. I was like, fuck, dude, this sucks. We're the next Ducks. And I hate the Ducks.
I love the Ducks. Their uniforms.
I hated the Ducks because I thought we were going to change them every 2 years. But only thing I have to say, we're wearing these against you guys. Awesome, because it's an old AFC West rivalry. But one thing they did cool with these jerseys is, I have another one right next to me, is they put the Kingdome on the
oh yeah,
on the inside of the jersey.
They put, look.
Sorry. Broncos country. Yeah, so the regular ones say 12 back there.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, my buddy's
still
in Seattle.
But I'll let you go do your game. I'm sorry for keeping you so long, man.
Dude, I had a great time. Good luck Sunday.
Yeah, I'll text. If you're gonna be on Twitter, I'm gonna fucking text you whether we win or lose. Okay.
Definitely. Same here.
Okay. Well, sweet,
all
man.
Right, buddy.
Thank you.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too.